You've crocheted all the bits of your bag. You've made this one into a bag shape. Now you have to attach it to your tote bag. Now, unfortunately, this bit is all about sewing, not crocheting. Put your tote bag inside your crochet bag, making sure that your corners are tucked into the corner. Make sure your corner is pushed in tightly and use a safety pin to anchor it. Do the same on the other corner. Make sure that the corner of the bag is pushed into the corner of the crocheted cover, and again pop a safety pin in. That will just make sure that your bag's in place. Your next job is to sew around the top of the bag. What you need to do is sew this final row just above where the top of the bag is. Now I've got some yarn here left over from doing the top, so this is what I'm going to use to do it. Back stitch is your best option. I'm just going to tie a knot in the end of my yarn and make sure that the end is nice and firm in the back of the top border. Make sure any ends are out of the way so that you can't actually see them. And then poke my needle through to the front. Again, it's best to safety pin this lot into place. I've got the seam here, which is going to be above the seam there. We have another safety pin to hold that seam in the right place. Now you can see the way I've pinned it is that the tote bag sits just below the top of the crochet. There are other ways of attaching the bag to the crochet, but to be honest, safety pins are your best friend as far as this goes. You can guarantee that I would end up sticking pins in my fingers as I'm sewing them. We really don't want that. A safety pin in either end to make sure that seam is level with your seam on your bag. And then just pull crochet tight. The crochet may be a bit tighter than your bag, but don't worry about that for now. Your crochet will stretch over time, which is why it's best to have a tighter fit rather than a looser fit. So stretch your bag and pin the top of your bag so as it fits in just across the top of your handle. And the same on the other handle, just pull that up so as it covers like that. And yes, rather a large safety pin for this bit, but never mind. Now the best way to do this is just to do back stitch all the way across the top. Follow the line of one of the rows and literally back stitch all the way across. making sure that you keep your top row just above the level of the tote bag. I'm going to go all the way around like that. You can see my stitches there, which are hidden mostly by the crochet, and my stitches on the back. I'm going to go all the way around the top of the bag and fasten that off, and then I will show you the next piece. I've finished doing around the top of the bag. I've also done a few stitches just inside the handles on both sides to make them sit a bit nicer. Your next job is to sew the crochet to the tote bag. Now, the reason for doing this is that crochet drops, and you really do not want all of your work to be saggy. You sew lines down the bag here, and that will help keep your crochet work in place. Now, I am using inside the bag to help me with this. I just have a small cutting mat. This just stops the safety pins going through and catching the other side. What we need to do is just pop that inside in the middle for now. Pull all of this nice and flat and straight, and then just pop a few safety pins in some strategic places to help hold your work in place. I'm not putting the pins where I'm actually sewing so that I can leave them in, and that is just going like that and like that, and some more on this side here. It's all about holding the bag in place while I sew it. We're going to do exactly the same with the yarn. Preferably use the colour that you've used to do your continuous joining. Cut a piece, thread the needle, and you're not really supposed to do this, but I always do. Decent knot in the end. What I'm going to do is work down this side, across the bottom, and up to the middle there. Ideally, I need to turn the bag around to be able to do that. I'm putting the board into that corner over there. I'm starting with my yarn going through some of these stitches at the top here, just to hide the knot and make sure that the yarn is anchored nicely. And then the cutting mat needs to come up just a little bit, because ideally you want it where you're sewing. And literally I'm just doing back stitch again. I'm making sure that I'm picking up the fabric of the tote bag while I'm doing this. Now, big stitches are fine. At the end of the day, if you're crocheting, you want to be crocheting, not sewing. But this is a necessary evil, because you really do not want your bag to spoil. And we just go down there like that. When I come up here, I will be doing it over the stitches in between these. In true Blue Peter style, I did the other side earlier. You can see how that is all sitting nice and flat. And if I pull this This way you can see my stitches coming through the bag going down that way. You're not going to see these inside, so you don't need to worry about it being overly tidy. As long as you've used the same colour that you used for your continuous joining, then you won't notice them. Here we have one finished bag made out of a scrap yarn, as you can tell from the handles. That looks quite good. You've managed to get this far. Well done. I hope you enjoy your bag, and I am looking forward to seeing lots of photos of them on social media.